What's up, everyone? Hope everyone is doing well. I was hoping that I'd have a shorter Padres wish list here as we're a week away from Christmas, but there hasn't been much activity. The Padres have not made a trade. They have not made a significant major league signing. There's been some, they're bringing back Tyler Wade. They agreed on that 1 year, 925,000 or something like that. There's been some minor things, but we're waiting for pretty much their entire offseason to happen here with moves. And so with Christmas coming up, I've got a wish list. I'm sure there's a bunch of kids that have their own wish list around San Diego, but for me, for other Padres fans, my wish list is more about like what my favorite team can do here, what I want them to do to position themselves to be a World Series contender coming up for the 2025 season. So this is sort of in order. It's sort of not in order. It's just kind of where my mind went to when I was thinking about this. So, first one up, obviously, Roki Sasaki. Sign Roki Sasaki. I don't think that I need to go into too much explanation. There's been plenty of talk about it. I've talked about it already on this channel, how cheap he will be. The Padres could spend their entire international bonus pool money. And if he ends up performing like the way that it feels like people are expecting him to perform, then he will outperform the amount of money that he is getting. It would be a Shohei Ohtani Angels situation where Sasaki would sign essentially a minor league deal and he would get arbitration, I believe, after 3 seasons, and then to become a free agent after, I think, year 5 or 6. I think after year 6. It would be really cheap. The Padres, they don't want to spend money this offseason, evidently. I mean, Higgy was totally reasonable. They didn't do that. And so now, and that's another one of my wish list here items that I'll bring up. But now, what are you going to do for the catching situation? If you didn't want to sign Higgy for less than $7 million a year, coming off the year that he just had, and Campy just hasn't been able to perform as well as we wanted him to, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy, where are you going to go with this catching situation? I thought bringing back Higgy was going to be pretty important. Can you go sign Jurickson Profar if you're not willing to bring back Higgy on that deal? Because in the interviews that I've seen for Higgy after he signed with the Rangers, seems like to me that the Rangers went out and got him, and the Padres did not have that same aggressiveness towards getting Higgy. And the Padres need Higgy more than the Rangers need Higgy, in my opinion. So, a little weird there. We'll see what happens with the payroll and what they do. Maybe they acquire a catcher via trade. But Roki Sasaki, obviously, he is on the wish list. That would be so great, not just because of the money, although that's a big part of it, but because of the talent. 23 years old, Japanese, best Japanese pitcher available is what it seems like. And yeah, I mean, having a Shohei Ohtani situation, Angels, not Dodgers, but Angels situation, to bring him here to San Diego, that would be so big. Because you look at this rotation, you got Michael King, who's been in the big leagues for years. You've got Darvish, obviously, for years. You had Musgrove for years. He's out with Tommy John. Dylan Cease for years. So to bring in a young arm, that would be nice as well. Obviously, Darvish, be able to mentor Roki Sasaki. Hideo Nomo is in the organization. There's, I believe, Yuki Matsui, right? Like, it just feels like, yes, this is a fit. If Roki wants to compete, the Padres, that's a great spot. If he wants to shine and have a big role on the team, that opportunity, the Padres, I think that's a good spot for him. If he goes and signs with the Dodgers, to me, he may not be looked at, maybe he doesn't care, but he may not be looked at as the same as if he were to be more counted on with the Padres than he would be with the Dodgers, in my opinion. The second item that I have is sign Elias Diaz or Martin Maldonado. Now, I could clear this item if they go acquire a catcher, so that's on the table as well. But I said sign one because I don't think either of them are going to cost too much, which obviously they're not going to be signing guys that cost too much. Elias Diaz, Martin Maldonado, 2 veteran catchers. Maldonado, not great offensively. I don't think he's that great defensively either. So that may be like, well, Ben, why the heck would you want him? But for me, if you can't get Elias Diaz and he goes and signs somewhere else, gets a bigger opportunity somewhere else or more money, whatever. Yes, I'd rather have Elias Diaz over Maldonado. But I'd rather have Maldonado over some of the other options. Like I think Yasmani Grandal is out there. And you may call me dumb for wanting Maldonado over Grandal, but I just view it like I've watched a ton of postseason games in years past, and Maldonado was trusted by that Astros pitching staff. And yeah, he's at the bottom of the order, but he can hit you 15 home runs. He's done it before. Now, maybe that number goes down to 10 or 12 at Petco, but having a veteran there, I think, is important. And I'm trying to fit it with cost. And Maldonado, I think, will not cost a ton on the free agent market. Same thing with Elias Diaz. I mean, this could be a Profar 2.0 situation. Elias Diaz got released by the Rockies and then picked up by the Padres, and he didn't get really much time because Higgy obviously deserved the playing time at catcher. But vet, above average defensively, which is great. I think there's talent elsewhere in the lineup, and hopefully they will add to that, where Diaz does not need to be, this big power bat at the bottom of that order behind the plate. I want a solid defensive catcher and someone that can help Campy, have someone there to talk with Ethan Salas during spring training. It's a bridge. That's what I want. I wanted Higgy, obviously. Like that was on my wish list, but that can't happen now. And I'm still pissed off about it, to be quite honest, because we're the Padres. We're trying to contend for a World Series. You're one win away from beating the Dodgers and going to the NLCS, all of that. And Higgy was a big part of that. And it's not like I was asking the Padres to go sign Juan Soto for $765 million. I'm not asking the Padres to sign Blake Snell for $180 million or whatever it was. I'm not asking the Padres to sign Max Fried for 8 years. I was just asking for them to bring back Higgy on a couple years on a reasonable contract. I don't think that's an overpay coming off the year that Higgy just had. Yeah, I think you can tell that I'm still frustrated with that. Bring back Profar is on my list. Now, this one I think I'm not feeling great about this right now, to be honest. I know we haven't heard much about teams interested in Profar, but I assume that there will be multiple teams, and it won't just be, the Padres that are like, yeah, come on back. You fit us. I think other teams will get in on that. And will other teams have more money to spend than the Padres? It sure seems like it. And if Profar, if you're Jurickson, right, are you thinking that you're going to have a better year in a walk year, which I know is a 1-year deal, but technically a walk year, right? The year before you hit the free agent market. Are you going to have a better year in that situation than you had this past season? The answer probably is no. Like that was it was an all-star starting in the all-star game, all that. Hitting third in the order. Like he was great. Are you going to do that again at any point? So he already thought like maybe I could get a 5-year, 4-year, whatever contract, and he didn't get that when he's had to sign with the Rockies after 2022. So now, does he want to be in San Diego? I think yes. Does he want to win with those teammates in San Diego, win for this city? I think yes. I think he loves being in San Diego. But if this is his one time to cash in and the Padres aren't going to be willing to play along there, it's going to suck, but I'm not going to be like, oh man, Profar, I hate Profar now because he took the money. Like, if it's a significant gap, and it might be, which sucks to say, again, with a guy that was so huge for what the Padres were able to do this past season, yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to sign him. Did they say, hey, we're not going to sign Higgy. We're going to sign a catcher for really cheap or trade for a catcher that's, really cheap, still like on his rookie contract or something. And we're going to trade Dylan Cease. We're going to get back a couple of controllable starters there, or, just create some more flexibility, maybe sign another starter. And then we'll give Profar the contract. And that's what we're waiting for them to spend a little bit, If they do that and they give Profar, $10 million a year, whatever, I guess I'll understand it a little bit more. Higgy not being back is what I mean by that. But until then, yeah, I'm still frustrated by that. And I will be frustrated if Profar goes and signs with another team. I guess depending on, if another team goes and, overpays for him, I guess, we got to move on. But I want Profar to come back. He was big. That's a lot of production. Did I kind of just combined production and projection there. That's a lot of production that they'd be losing. 24 homers. I'm not saying he'd do that again, but let's say 20 homers, 800 OPS, 80 runs driven in. That's a lot of production there. And even if he wasn't going to do that, well, you still want that production from someone. You're not going to sign Teoscar Hernandez. He's going to come more expensive than Profar. And other guys like Alex Verdugo, is there a reason why the Yankees, they didn't want to bring him back? Eloy Jimenez, Tommy Pham, Jesse Winker. Winker, no. There are risks there in all of those guys. Maybe the Padres do bring back Tommy Pham and because they don't want to give the money to Profar, and Tommy Pham would be a cheaper 1-year deal. Maybe they do that. But Profar in another uniform at this point in his career, that would look not right, in my opinion. Acquire a couple of more starters. That is on my list. I still think they're trading Dylan Cease at some point. So you already need a couple starters. Probably want a couple starters. I mean, because right now the rotation, Cease, and I'm not really referring to the rotation itself, but the number of guys. Cease, Darvish, King. That's 3. You want Waldron and Vasquez not to be in pen in the rotation. You want them to be in pencil and fight for a spot. If you get Roki, maybe you have Waldron be the 6th starter. But what does that mean? You get Roki, and then you get a couple more starters on top of that. So there's work to be done there. The Padres can never have enough arms. Go look at the Dodgers last year. I think a lot of the baseball world was like, yeah, that's a lot of arms. They are good. They still had to be throwing bullpen games out there, and they were worried about how long a starter was going to be able to go. Jack Flaherty, how long was he going to go? They were worried about that in the postseason with all of those arms that they had. So the good thing, though, with the Padres is like Ruben Niebla, the training staff, whatever they're doing there, the guys have been pretty healthy. I know Musgrove just had Tommy John, but King, Lugo, Walker, right? They were pretty healthy in years past. Dylan Cease, obviously, healthy. We'll see what happens with Darvish. Walter and Vasquez, if I remember correctly, they were able to stay pretty healthy this past year. So that's been good. But yeah, a couple more starters. But that's where I feel like the starters are going to be coming from, or at least one of them is going to come via trade. Because starting pitchers, even if you have a 3 or 4, not 3, but 4 ERA on a 1-year deal, some guys could still get $7-8 million. Are the Padres going to do that for a veteran arm that's going to give you a 4 ERA? I don't know. We'll see. But this money thing is, it's frustrating for sure. And I'm sure it's frustrating for a lot of fans that spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of dollars on postseason tickets and the merch and the parking and all the time invested for the team to have to maybe be decreasing payroll coming off of a year where they were close to getting to where we want them to go, that they haven't been able to get to since before I was born, which is the World Series. And we want them to win the World Series, obviously. So, yeah, that's what I've got on my list. If I missed something or if you want to add something that's on your list, let me know in the comments. I've got to acquire a couple more starters other than Roki. Acquire Roki as well. Bring back Profar. I'd like them to sign Elias Diaz. I'm just looking at the catcher list, and maybe it's because it's recency bias. I'm most familiar with Elias Diaz, and I want someone strong defensively back there. But, Higgy, the guy hit 17, 20 home runs, including the postseason. So there was some offensive production there for sure from Higgy. So I wonder where they're going to go with that. But yeah, that's what I've got tonight. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully everybody has happy a happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, whatever you do over this holiday season here the next couple of weeks. I don't. I'm not saying I'm not going to be uploading any more videos, but this is just my wish list, and so I just wanted to add that on there. But yeah, that's what I've got.